When you're looking to become a card magician, one of the most important things that you can learn is how to make your spectator do exactly what you want. Ideally, you'd like them to pick the card that you want, call out stop where you want them to call out stop, or cut the deck where you want them to cut the deck, all without actually telling them. What up, crew? Hope you're doing well, and boy do I have the perfect concept to talk to you about today. So a card force is the ability to make a spectator select the card of your choosing. And there are a ton of reasons why someone would want to use a card force, and I think a great example is in the movie Now You See Me.
Did you see one?
Yes.
Do you have one in mind?
Yes.
Do you see your card here?
No.
That's because you're looking too closely. What have I been telling you all night? The closer you look,
The less you see.
I want you to be able to do things like that and blow audiences away with your own methods on how to reveal the card or innovative ways to implement it with your magic. In this video, I'm going to lay that groundwork for you and share some ideas so that you can go out and get more creative. And then near the end of this video, I'm going to share with you a card trick that will get some insane reactions just with a simple force. Now there is a lot to cover, but before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, grab your deck of playing cards, and now let's do it. Alright, so this version of the bottom force was originally published in the Royal Road to Card Magic, and you start off by putting the card you want to force on the bottom of the deck. Once you have the card there, you're going to start by holding the deck in a Mechanic's grip looking like this, index finger on top, thumb on the side, long ways here, middle ring and pinky finger on the right hand side. And again, this is if your dominant hand is the right hand, then you hold the deck in your left hand. If you're a lefty, you'd be holding the deck in your right hand with the same exact grip looking like this. Right, so I'm going to go back here. And the way that this is going to work is you're going to slide all the cards forward just a little bit, and you're going to slide this single card back. Okay, and what that's going to look like, you shift over first your index finger over to the side, you push all these cards forward, and as you push them forward, I use my thumb here. I have these three fingers here, index finger here, these three fingers here, slide all this forward, and I kind of cup this card here. So you can see it's kind of cupped here, barely leaving my hand. So you can see my hand's here. It does not exceed where this finger is. So we have that here, and we have the rest of the cards here. I would say maybe about 1/3 to at most 1/2. I wouldn't even say go to 1/2, but around 1/3 of the card is how deep you want to push that in. So once that's there, you're going to use your thumb to push some of the bottom cards forward, and use the fingers here to push to pull some of these cards back. So it's going to look like this. So you can kind of see all the cards are like this. Now you're going to ask a spectator to grab a chunk of playing cards. And the whole purpose behind them grabbing a chunk of playing cards is you want to make it seem like it's a completely free choice, which it exactly is. And you ask them to grab a chunk of playing cards from anywhere they want. So let's say they grab a chunk of playing cards here, you would pull these out. If they grab it here, you would pull these out. If you grab it here, they'd pull these out. Let's just say they grab it here. You would have them pull out these playing cards and put them down. One thing you want to be careful of is not to have this tilted up in any kind of way, otherwise they can see that card is hidden there. But the view of the spectator should be from up above, so almost like a bird's eye view. Once that's done, you square up the packet with your thumb. Right, you're going to square all this up and show the spectator their selected card, aim that towards them, and they can see it is the ace of spades. So that is the bottom force. Alright, the next force that we're going to talk about is what I like to call the Riffle turnover force. And if you guys know the actual name of it, do let me know down in the comments. I'm completely blanking on what this force is called. But this is how it's going to work. You're going to start with the card you're forcing on top of the deck, looking like this, right? So you have one card on top. You're going to curl your index finger underneath. Again, we're going to start in the Mechanic's grip. Curl your finger underneath like so. Apply upward pressure on the deck and riffle through the side of the deck like this. So this is what you're doing to the spectator, right? So let's pretend the deck has been shuffled and then you got your card controlled to the top. You get into this grip, riffle, ask the spectator where you want them to stop, right? So let's just say they call out stop right around here. Wherever they call out stop, you're going to come over now with your dominant hand, take out this packet. So using your index finger, you're going to take it out, turn both of these packets over, right? So we're here, riffled, take this, turn both over, And as you turn both over, right, so this one you're turning over itself, using your index finger, middle finger, grabbing here, turning over, putting into the palm of your dominant hand. And as you're turning this over, you're also turning over this entire non-dominant wrist, looking like this. So up to speed, ask them to stop right here, and that's the card they're going to get. You push that card towards them, and they're going to take a look and see that it is the forced card. A couple of tips on how to kind of sell this even more. As you're riffling, be very, what's a word for it? I would say be very intentional with how you're going about handing over the card to the spectator. So again, I would say be very intentional with how you're handing over or pushing off the card to the spectator. So like, for example, here, when you're riffling in the beginning, you're showing them that you're clearly riffling, and they can call out stop whenever you want, and you're inserting your index finger in that area, right? So from the side, that's how I do it, inserting in that area. So for this, it seems, or for them, this seems very, I guess, very straightforward, very clean, and nothing suspicious about it. But the suspicious activity is turning both of them over and pushing it forward. Now, you don't want to be like super rushed doing it like this, because if you do something very quickly, as opposed to how before you were taking your time with the riffle and doing all that, that is kind of a giveaway in when you're doing any of these kind of moves. So I'd say take your time, be intentional with everything. You riffle, stop here, and hand it towards them, push the card towards them, and they can take a look at it, and it's the force card, the Ace of Spades. Alright, and this last force is actually a type of riffle force as well. It's called the Riffle Break Force, and it was initially published by Theodore Animan in his books Jinx. I believe it was in 1938, if I'm not mistaken. You know what? I just went and checked. It was 1939. I was that close. That close! Alright, so the way that this is going to work is you're going to take the card that you're forcing, and you're going to put it somewhere, I would say maybe about 2/3 of the way into the deck. So I'm going to put it right around here. Take that card, put it here, and you're going to grab a pinky break right above it. So you're going to put the rest of the deck down, and you're going to grab a pinky break right above that card. Now, if you're not super comfortable doing it with the pinky break, or if you don't want to like using the pinky break method, I'll talk about using another method later on, which I prefer more, but this is the standard way to do it. So I'll teach it like this first, and then we'll move on to the other method. So the way that it's going to work is you grab a very small flush break. You don't put the full pinky in, otherwise it looks kind of strange here. You can probably already tell that the packets are breaking apart here. But you want a very light pinky break here. So just with the flesh of your pinky finger, this way here, even though you see it's kind of still a little split, if you kind of jog the cards in and out everywhere, it's not as bad, okay? So you're gonna do the exact same thing that you did the first time. You're gonna curl in your index finger here, you have these fingers here, pinky break here, and you're gonna start riffling, right? Riffle with your thumb on the side of the packet. And as the spectator calls out stop, you're gonna come over with your dominant hand, and you're gonna grab in that location. So you're gonna use your middle finger, index finger, whatever you wanna do. I like to use my middle and ring finger. Grab at that location, and then as you're grabbing at that location, also grab the break back here with your thumb. So you're pretty much grabbing 2 breaks. And what I like to do at this point is I like to slide it forward, right? So I just slide this forward while tilting it down. Slide forward, tilt down, so they have no idea that I'm letting go of this break. Right, so we're here. Forward, down, and allow them to take this card, and it'll be the Ace of Spades or your forced card. Now here are a few tips that I want to share about this force. It's definitely not easy getting into that position if you're just starting off in Magic. So let's just say you start off with the card right on top of the deck, and now you want to give the deck a cut. So cut about 1/3 of the deck, and this is known as a swing cut. You're going to cut over about 1/3 of the deck, put it into the other hand, and then as you put the rest of these cards on top, that's when you can kind of grab that pinky break, and then you're all set to do the Riffle Break Force like this. The other thing that I wanted to mention in the beginning was you may not be comfortable, for example, doing a pinky break. So what I like to do from time to time is instead of having the break here, it's easier to grab the pile if you have the break on the opposite side. So if you get a flesh break in your palm with these playing cards, and of course this is a very exaggerated break, but let's just say I do it right around here. Hold on one second. There we go. I do it right around here like this. You can still see it's a bit obvious. Let me, square it all up. Well, I guess it's still a little obvious, but I think that's fine. If you just jog the card in and out a little bit, and again, doing the exact same thing, come here. I feel like it's easier to grab the break because the thumb is already here. And I literally just slide that forward, out, and again, make sure to keep it when it closes, right? So when you go out and down, make sure to close that break. And there is the ace of spades. Is it clear on camera? Now it's clear. Once you've figured out which one of these card forces work best for you, you want to see how you can incorporate it with a card trick. Because a card force by itself is pretty impressive, but a card force meshed together with a card trick will blow people away. There is a brilliant trick in the book The Royal Road to Card Magic that works so well with the card force. Now in this video, I'm not going to cover the whole trick, but I'm going to walk you through its premise and how you can do it using a card force. So check it out. This is the pulse trick. You're going to start off by forcing a card onto the spectator. So let's just say, again, we're forcing the, instead of the ace of spades actually, let's force another card. For the pulse trick, it would be better to force another card. Let's just say we're forcing the 6 of, you know what, I lied. Let's do the 5 of clubs. We're going to be forcing the 5 of clubs onto the spectator. The whole premise of this trick is to force a card on a spectator, and then using the pulse in their hand, we're going to kind of use that as a indicator or a detector where we're able to guess the spectator selected card. So this is something like how it would work. We start off with our force card on top of the deck, or however you want to force that card. I'm just going to do the turnover riffle force that I'm calling it. Riffle to the side of the deck, they say stop, hand them over this card. And of course, it will be the 5 of clubs. Tell them to look at that card, memorize it, and leave it somewhere in the center of the deck. Have it returned back in the center of the deck, so there's no possible way you know where that card is. Now you're going to ask them for their hand in marriage. No, I'm just kidding. You're going to ask them for their hand, and you're going to put these 2 fingers where their pulse would be. So I guess if you're looking at my hand, if you're not too familiar with biology or getting people's pulses, right around here, so you can kind of see if I do this, where I guess these, what are these called? The muscles, fibers, whatever it is, of my finger are here. And this is on my non-dominant hand. So just to the left of that, if you put your finger there, you'll be able to feel a pulse as long as the person is alive. So you put your fingers there and you feel the pulse. And now you can say, you can ask them a couple of questions. You can say, to identify a baseline, I'm going to ask you a couple of easy questions. You can ask them their name, where they're from, whatever you want to do, and kind of establish their telling of the truth, or any kind of reactions that they get, right? So you're going to establish a baseline first. And this kind of, you don't have to do this again, but this kind of helps in selling the effect. You establish the baseline, and then you say, I'm going to start counting numbers from ace, 2, 3, 4, all the way to king, and I'm going to try to identify what your card is. So you can either do the value first, you can do the suit first. I would say actually the suit first would be better, just because it seems like it's a 1 out of 4 chance, and then you build up to the 1 out of 13 chance. So then you could do the suits in any order. I would say don't do the clubs first, since it's 5 of clubs. Don't do the clubs first. Let's say you have your finger here. You can say, you say spade out loud. Then you wait for a second. You say hearts out loud. You wait for a second. You say clubs out loud. And then you say diamonds out loud. And then you said, okay, I think I felt your pulse a bit harder when I said clubs. And they'll be shocked. Okay, that's pretty impressive. But then you could say, okay, well, I also had a 1 out of 4 chance of just guessing that. So let's try it again. And you do the same thing with the numbers 1 or ace through king. You do ace, 2, 3, 4, 5. You may want to go past 1 or 2. So if it's a 5, you may want to go up to 7 and be like, okay, I think I know what your card is. It's a 5. And then you can reveal the 5 of clubs. So that's the basic premise of the trick and how it's done. In the full method of the trick, and I guess I'll just talk through this real quick. In the full method of the trick, you hand the deck over to the spectator, and they have you select a card from the deck. So, for example, we selected the 3 of spades. So we'd look at the card, we would not show them, and we can return it, for example, to the top of the deck because it really doesn't matter. And now you tell them that they're going to read your pulse and do the exact same thing. Now, you may be panicked thinking, how is that possible? Well, remember the muscles I told you about on the here? If all you do is, for example, squeeze or press against your thumb and index finger, or thumb and middle finger, you can kind of see, well, let me see if I can bring it closer up. So if you squeeze your thumb and your middle finger, you can kind of see that in that same exact area, there's going to be a bit of movement in those muscles or fibers or whatever it is. and you can use that to indicate to the spectator that that's what the card was. So for example, ours was 3 of spades. If they say 1, 2, 3, and again, you have them say it slowly. They say 1, 2, 3. Squeeze a little harder during that time, right? So you squeeze a little bit harder, and they'd be like, oh, I did actually feel something at 3. Now, I think it would be easier to do this with your hand or wrist face down. This way they don't see you doing any kind of squeezing motions here. So I would recommend doing it face down if you're doing both methods, you having them guess and having yourself guess as well. But if you're just having yourself guess, you can just do it with the palm face up. So that is the pulse trick. I think it's actually phenomenal. If you have not had the chance to try it out right now. It will blow people away. I know I've been saying that a lot, but it will blow people away. Now that you know a little bit of what you can do with card forces, I encourage you to go out and try it on friends and family. And once you get comfortable with that, try coming up with your own ideas, because I guarantee you, you will have a blast. If you want to check out some more easy card forces, click on this video right over here, and let me tell you, it will blow you away how well some of these forces work, and they're so simple. I don't even know. Thanks so much for spending your time with me today. It was a pleasure having you here. Have a great day ahead, and I hope to see you in the next video.